Yo guys, I'm Yellow, the Norwegian hardcore PC gamer, and today we are going to, on this sunny day, we are going to take a look at the smoke grenade, the thing that block out the sun or most light, and it's good for you to get concealed cover and move to sites and whatnot. Now the gist of this video will be to teach you guys about something that more of the professional people do, and they're doing it with a lot of education to back it up when they're doing it, so they make sure that it's making a lot of sense, and that's aside from the matter of fact that if you're also good enough in order to like do it at the right time and place, as the money here flies. It's kind of funny that you can only do it on that one. Yeah. Basically, if you throw down a smoke like this and you are the terrorists, if a CT or a couple of them decide to boost right here, they might be able to see right above the smoke. While that can be risky if you do it at the wrong time and wrong place, with the right angles right here, for example, it will basically work like a one-way smoke, and somebody will kill you and it will all be over, or you will have a terrible time. And that's why boosting at the backside of a smoke is so viable and so useful. However, what the pro people are doing that most people aren't doing when it comes down to utilizing it properly is that they know when to use it, and that's aside from both most likely being completely silent when they are doing it. And so basically what I'm trying to say is that not only is it very easy to do, but there's a lot of alternate things that you gotta make sure you do right if you want to boost inside of a smoke or right at the edge in order to get the most value for your money. So, yeah, and that is, by the way, aside from where the enemies are throwing down the smokes and what is happening. If you're playing long or short on the A site on the Inferno, for example, if they chuck down one smoke and you and your buddy are there ready to boost, it's going to be incredibly damaging to the terrorist side, because you can just look over their cover and you'll easily take down one or two enemies. And this is something, by the way, that historically pro players have been good at doing for a very, very, very long time. So it's always worth it for you and your buddy to not just learn this, but figure out how it works in general. And I mean, the basic concept is very simple, but it's the smaller details that matter. So for example, right here, if the smoke is here, it's almost always really good if you have control of long to take a little peek above the smoke here with your buddy, because when you then do that, and you have your angle set right, so that's kind of where you have to first get on top of a crouching teammate's head, and then make him jump if you want to. He also just got to be prepared to jump up, or he got to be prepared for you to jump so that he can stand up and so that you can get a better visual, relative to what the guy on top want to get, because he's the dude that is going to dictate what he want to see and how far above the smoke you want to be. And don't forget that, please, because if you're far above the smoke, it's going to be so easy to see you. But if it's done right, it works like a one-way smoke, and as most of you guys know, that is insanely impossible to see. Like, it's a part of how the perspective plays into how much concealment you have, and in return you can get one or two or even more free kills because you decided to boost on the other side of the smoke. While in return, unless the terrorists are completely ready for you, they'll spam you in the smoke and you might get killed, or both of you might die. Which doesn't happen as often relative to how many times it's being done, unless a pro team have studied the living hell out of their opponents, which doesn't happen too often, but you can see that happen too. Even though boosting to see over the smoke is going to be the most useful thing, because yeah, it's more viable in that sense. Now, what I also want to point out is that if you do it at the wrong time and place, you can get killed completely, and this is where the long area here on the A site is going to be a terrible problem for you if you decide to do it right here. So I wouldn't really do it. Maybe if there are two smokes put down and you're suspecting the enemies to not go aggro, or maybe there's only one guy left, in those scenarios, it could be useful to try and get that extra visual information, because that means that you're going to be able to maybe get an edge above your enemy, you get to check in another angle in a more safe environment, and all these smaller things that can be useful. And that's aside from maybe doing it on T side as well, which can in some cases be incredibly damaging for your enemies. So let's say that this smoke is landing down here on T side. I think that it's way more viable on this site here to do exactly this. Even though again you will get more exposure from the bank, and that means that you can get killed, you can still then get to see right above the smoke at the headshot area. And let's not forget that people that are boosting above the smoke just to get a little peek, you aren't getting pre-aimed, and that is going to be so useful, because unless a guy is literally a cheater or super fucking good, which both can happen if you play at the higher skill level in this game, even in matchmaking, you are most likely not going to get killed by him. You're going to be able to just shoot him down and you'll be good to go, and that is so sexy, you know. And that's aside from kind of sort of simulating one-way smokes yourself, because that is what essentially you want to achieve by boosting. This one, for example, is pretty good at that, and this one is super common as well. Most pro players will do that, so so it's not really that viable to do it because everybody does it, but it's still pretty cool to do as well. And that's aside from looking beneath the smoke, if the perspective and the angle and the positioning of the smoke is a little bit off or a little bit weird. So you always got to be careful about how the smoke is laying around, and study that and try and play into the cards that will give you the best advantage. And I guess that basically concludes this video. There's a million different pro games in which this happens at, so you guys can take a look at those whenever a major or a tournament is going on. Thanks for watching. Here are 2 related videos to CS if you want to get smarter or better at CSGO, and if you want to support the channel and get perks along the way, I would recommend you guys to become a Patreon. That's about it. Thanks for watching, thanks for the support, have a nice day, and don't get beastified when you play.